Dr. Cutter with Chainsaw Hospital, and today we're going to be finishing up our crank seals project. In the other video, we worked on the clutch side bearing, or the clutch side seal over here on this side, the PTO side. Today we're going to be working on the recoil side seal. So here's the old one from the clutch side, and then what's in this package is the seal for the recoil side. So we've got a new one and we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and get you in here, and we're going to pull this all apart here and go ahead and get this new seal installed. First, we need to go ahead and get this recoil off of here, and you've got 3 T27 screws, and for that we're going to use our impact here with the T27 Torx driver in there. So once we have those loosened up, you can get this bell washer off of there. This, and then these two. These are all the same size screw. So go ahead and get these out of there. See, they're all the same length, except for this one for the bell washer. That one's a little longer. So we've got our emesis pan here. Drop those in there. We go ahead and get this, and then there's another washer underneath here. This one right here. So go ahead and get this recoil out of the way. This recoil works great, so I'm not going to service it or anything. I just have not had any problems with that. After we get this recoil off, we've got a 13mm nut that needs to come off. So I've got a 13mm socket and an adapter for the impact. So let's go ahead and rattle this one off. So lefty loosey on this. Okay, and that came right off. So when you're going to go pull the flywheel, be sure to remove the nut first, because you can't remove the flywheel without this, and you could possibly break your flywheel puller or bend up the end of this thing. Got the nut off. Now I'm going to place a ball bearing on top of the shaft right here, the crankshaft, and that'll help when we go to install our flywheel puller. And here's our flywheel puller and what it looks like. And you can order these online. I'll put a link down below to some, and then that's what the end looks like. Yours might not look like this. This is a custom bolt I made so I can use the ball bearing, because I don't like mushrooming out the outer part of that crankshaft. So either way, you just thread it on here like this. There's two sizes. One side will fit, one side will not. So best I can tell you is just try it out. Thread it down until it stops. Then you can thread this down on top of there, the jack bolts, and you're going to need a 3/4 or 19mm, and I'm just going to use a scrunch here, and it should just pop right off. They should not be on there that tight, and if it is, it's okay. You just hold a backup wrench down here on these threads here, and let's see here. And sometimes if you get a little tension on there and you want to tap it with a hammer, it'll shock it and go ahead and pop right off of there. So I didn't beat it very hard. I just put a few little taps on there, and that's literally all it took. Now it's ready to come on off of there. Of course, I had the magnets lined up too, so that's always fun. So there you go. Once you get this off, now you've got your puller. You can unthread off of there, and you've still got your ball bearing here, and the end of the crankshaft is the same as it was, like brand new. This is actually really clean underneath of here. I'm actually surprised that we are that clean. So I've got, looks like 2 T27s underneath this cover here. I'm just going to place these over in our MS's pan. You know, we might go ahead and take this off of there. Looks like somebody used some silicone on there to keep it from getting wet or oil in there, which maybe it's cracked or broken from the years. If I date this saw about right, it should be 43 or 44 years old. So somewhere right in there. I think it's a 79. And again, if you know a whole lot more about this model and a lot of this information, please let me know. I would love to hear. Just trying to get this off. There we go. Okay. Now that we have that out of the way, it says Bosch on it. Well, it has the Bosch symbol. But either way, that's what came out of there. Put that over in our parts bin. And that exposes our seal, which is what we've got our handy dandy seal puller here. This one doesn't look too bad, but you know, we're in here and we're just going to change these guys anyways. So this, remember the seal puller is got this hook right here. I custom made that. That's what it looks like. It's got the stop collar on here. The stop collar is for placing it on the into the seal and then using pliers to wedge down on it to get the seal to pull out. So let's see if we can get this puller in here. Sometimes these smaller ones will come right out of there, but I've got it engaged. See if I can get a better view of that. Slides right down into the side of the shaft, and then you just twist it to the left and it locks right into the metal part of the seal. So that's what we'll do. I mean, obviously once you do this, the seal is ruined, but you know, we have a new seal, so no big deal. So we're going to loosen up the stop collar, slide it down to about right there. I'm going to go ahead and try it on this side here. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and install the nut on here, just like that, and that'll help protect those threads from the pliers. So here we go. We're going to turn it a little bit with our hand, turn it like that to engage that hook, and then we're just going to pull up on it. So I made a different tool here because, well, the other one broke. And sometimes that happens. You know, I made this one and it snapped off. So I made this one out of a heavier quality, a higher quality screwdriver that was already bent anyway. So we'll see what happens. It might hold up, it might not. But what I've got here is where I can hook into that seal. You can still see that seal down in there. And I'm just going to try to use these needle nose to pry up. And this one might break too, I don't know. I don't think I'm putting that much force on it. Oh, and the stop collar just moved. Maybe I'll make a little spot for that to rest in. So I finally got the stop collar to kind of hold, and it looks like I bent that tip up a little bit, but I did get some movement on the seal. So a success for sure, because once you get these things moving, you can really get it out of there, just like that. There you go. And it looks like I broke the spring, which is fine, but there's the little spring. And there you go. So there's the seal, what's left of it after I butchered it up. Either way, so we got that one out of there, and our little tool survived mostly, and it might be okay from now on. We'll see. But I do have that extra set screw in there now. This seal just sat flush with this face right here. So we've already got this, I believe, yeah, it's already cut out of there. But here's the new one. Now we really do need to be careful with this so we don't damage it going on. But the nice thing about this side is it's already tapered all the way down. I've got a rag here. I'm just going to clean up this tapered part of the shaft. You can see it was a little grody, probably from just fooling around with it. And what I want to do is inspect it to make sure it's not going to damage the new seal when it goes in there. So everything looks okay there too. So here we go. We've got our new seal going into place. You know what I might do? I might put a little grease on here. Just putting a little grease on here to help lubricate it onto this shaft. There we go. So that might be really nice actually, because it does fit well. I've got a socket here that looks like it'll fit perfect. This is a 11/16, and I've got my hammer here. So let's see if we can get this thing to go on there straight. It's already wanting to go crooked on me. Let's see if we can just get that side to start. What we'll do is we'll just favor this side with it. There we go. So tapping on that side, it was a little high. It just went ahead and went on into the case there. Now it looks like it's going in nice and straight. And this side right here is just a little high. So we'll go ahead and tap that down there. You know, just lightly, because you can go too far with these. Okay, so the seal is now installed. Go ahead and go back with these components here, this ignition. So I got to feed these wires back into that little notch right there. So what do we got here? We need these two screws here. Just looking at my emesis pan, and got that. Got that one started. Just doing these by hand. No need to run them up with the impact, because I don't want to strip them out, you know, or cause any issues. Wonderful. Okay, yeah, and that's lining up right where it should also. That's great. All right, and that took this little guy here. This was a little straight, little slotted screw. Go ahead and tighten that down. We'll go ahead and tighten these down. Awesome. That's back on there. What was next? This flywheel right here. So we've got to line up the key and the flywheel. 13 millimeter nut. Got our 13 millimeter on our impact to run this nut up. And the last thing is to put our recoil back on there. So we're going to slide that out of the way, put this in place, make sure it engages, and it does. We've got our flat washer here that goes in between there. Longer bolt, and your bell washer goes into there. I'm going to start these by hand. So now I've got my T27. There we go. You know, I'm anxious to get this thing kind of running right, you know, because either way, this 038, I've never ran one, and I'm excited to get it in the wood. Well, a little bit more than it was before and running right. So that's the main thing. But either way, let's see if we can get this thing started up and see how it runs. Now, the carburetor might need some tuning. It might be close enough just to get it going, but we'll have to put it in the wood outside to see if we can actually get it tuned properly. But let's just make sure it'll start back up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to squeeze the trigger, push down the trigger interlock, squeeze the trigger, and push this lever all the way to the bottom, and that's the choke position, because I mean, it is cold. Let's go ahead and we're just going to put it down here real quick and see if we can get it to pull over and pop a couple times. I did pull it over a few times before, checking to make sure the recoil was working, so it might have pulled some fuel up into the carburetor already. So it might not take that many pulls, not like normal, to get it started. So let's see what happens. Okay, well, that's super exciting that Jackman is actually running and on its side. Remember, it was dying before on its side. Not sure exactly what, but it was probably pooling up fuel in the crankcase, and then it just goes rich and dies. And that's what it was doing before. Well, it's not doing it anymore. So I think we finally have this thing fixed, and we can actually do a little bit more testing with it. Seems like the clutch is working okay. The oiler is, oh yeah, it's oiling. It's nice and wet, and that's great. We might put a longer bar. This is just a 16 on here, but it's what was on it when I got it. So hey, whatever, right? Okay. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm, again, super excited about this build. Super excited about this saw in particular and getting it going. It was, it's been a long time coming, but I think we finally got something to work with here. So either way, thank you so much for watching. And remember, keep your chain sharp and stay safe.